friends, and welcome back. I am Patty Elhoff, the author of Upcycle with Decoupage, and this week I thought I would show you how to decoupage a planter, add a whole lot of glitter and sparkle to make it pretty for the Christmas season. And I'll also show you how I added some of these flowers up in the inside. It was really simple. Sometimes I see these in the craft store and think they're beautiful, and I think, I don't know how to decorate these or what to do with them. So I'll show you how to do that. And this could make a lovely, inexpensive centerpiece that you've made all on your own. So the first thing that I did was I took this clay pot. You can see there's some chips in here. The pot isn't in the best of shape, but that's actually the perfect base for this. And what I did was I took this all-purpose sealer by Delta. I have this on my website along with the rest of the supplies. And I wanted to use this as opposed to a Terra Cotta pot sealer for two reasons. One, this is a lot less expensive. It's about half the price of the spray-on Terra Cotta pot sealer. And the other reason is that the Terra Cotta pot sealer is meant to be used on the inside and the outside to seal it if you're going to put a real plant in here. Since we are not doing that, and I'm just going to use this for a centerpiece, I decided to only paint the outside with, or coat the outside with, this coating, and that is so that the terracotta doesn't absorb all of your paint. Terracotta is so porous, if you just paint over it, you will have to add 2 to 3 coats. And there's no need to do that. We're covering this up with our decoupage anyway. So I'm going to put this on. It dries almost immediately. And once that's dry, I'm taking a sponge roller and I'm going to coat the whole surface inside and out with this Martha Stewart multi-surface paint. And this was the whitest color I could find in the house. You want to make sure you try to match the background of your napkins with the color of the paint. So you'll see, as you'll see shortly, the napkins are all white in the background, and this way it will look like you've painted the napkin on, or whatever images are on your napkin. So I'm going to finish covering this whole surface on the inside and the outside and put it aside to dry. By the way, you can put this in a cold oven, set it to 350. When it reaches 350, leave it in for 30 minutes. Then when you turn the oven off, you can leave this in the oven to cool down, and that will make this paint permanent, so nothing can chip it or remove it. For the purpose of today's video, I just let everything air dry. And I'm doing something a little different today. I am taking a piece of string. You don't want the string to be too thin or this will take forever. You want to, the thicker string is better. And I just wanted to add a little bit of a different touch to this clay pot. So what I'm going to do is take some Elmer's Elmer's glue all, and I am going to glue this string down to the surface, but just the first piece. For the first piece, I'm going to place the string around the top and let it dry. So you just want to be careful with this one part. It gets a little bit easier after this. So I'm going to wrap this top piece around the rim. When I'm done, I'm going to secure it with some type of a clip. This is just one of those big craft clothespins. And I'm going to add a little bit more glue over the top. In essence, it's almost like you're decoupaging this string down, just to keep it secure. Now I'm going to put this aside to dry. I put this over a heat vent, so it had dried within about 45 minutes. And once this first part of the pot was dry, that string up the top, I just took the rest of the string and wound it around the pot. Now I'm actually using decoupage glue here. It's the napkin decoupage glue. And as you can see, all I'm doing is applying the decoupage glue, laying the string right down under the row before it, applying the decoupage glue, putting it over the string as well. And I'm just going to continue this around the pot for 1 or 2 inches. It gives a really pretty effect under your decoupage. And once you're all done, you just want to add another coat of decoupage glue. By the way, what I did was I finished adding the string so that it went right up to the original place where I started, up at the top. You can barely see it there. And I just cut away the edge, and I'm covering the whole thing with decoupage glue, and I'm going to put this aside to dry. I left this overnight to dry on a heat vent, and it came out. I love the way this looks. But you can also put it in the oven, cool oven at 170, leave it in for about 10 minutes, turn the oven off and let it cool down. And now we can begin to decoupage. Now I want you to notice a couple of things. For one, I have a napkin with a white background which matches the white paint. I also have a napkin that's a little bit larger than the clay pot, the terracotta pot. You may want to start out smaller. This is a bit of a larger pot and it might be easier to start out smaller. And what I want to do is tear off any of these straight hard edges, and you can try to do this dry. It does make it a lot easier if you have one of these aqua brushes. This way you can just take the brush, and it works like a pen. You can add the water right where you would like to tear the napkin. You want to keep your thumb down on the areas you don't want to tear, and just pull away the wet napkin here. And I'm going to go around and remove all of the hard edges from this napkin. And once I'm done with that, I'm going to tear off a section of the napkin that I would like to use on my clay pot. So I'm laying it down over the planter, and you can see that the bottom overlaps a little bit, which is what we want. But up at the top, you're going to, again, take your water brush, or you can use a paintbrush dipped in water to do this too. You just have to keep dipping it in water. With the water brush, the aqua brush it's called, you can just squeeze the base of it and a little bit of water comes up to the brush. And what I'm going to do is just draw a line up around the top there and tear the napkin away so that it's the exact size that I need. And now I'm going to put a little bit of water down and dampen my pointer finger and my thumb and press on the outside edge of the napkin and then separate it. This is a 2-ply napkin instead of the 3, so I've only got to pull this one part away. But I wanted to show you something. I would go all around the edges rather than just try to tear it right apart, because the napkins are fragile. So you want to be careful. These outside edges have a reinforcement around them, and you want to go around those edges first so that you don't tear your napkin. You see that reinforced part right there? That disappears when you decoupage, by the way. So now I'm going to separate as many of these as I need to go around my planter. And I will show you 2 different ways to decoupage this, because some people prefer one over the other, and sometimes people ask me, why did you decoupage this way instead of the other way? And it really is preferential. So let me show you. On this one, I laid the dried napkin down over the dried surface, and I carefully smoothed it out. And I took my napkin decoupage glue, and it is a huge help to use the napkin decoupage glue. I am not a big fan of Mod Podge, and the napkin decoupage glue specifically is a thinner, more gelatinous type of decoupage glue. And what you want to do is add a lot of the glue to your brush, and over the center part of the napkin, you want to apply the decoupage glue, and because it is napkin decoupage glue, it goes through the napkin that much easier. And you can pull the napkin a tiny bit, and you want to be careful. You could say if I was rushing here, I would start to tear things. So I am going from the center out, and I'm making sure I get those ends flattened down nicely. You can hardly see there's a line there. When it dries, you won't see anything at all. And I'm pulling this edge of the napkin out now. You want to work in small sections and just take your time. And this helps to prevent wrinkles. As long as you're careful with it, you're not going to tear it, and the napkin decoupage glue is a big help. And make sure when you go up around this string that we applied that you paint this decoupage glue through the napkin into those grooves. So you'll notice here I'm going to start to go back and forth with this, or in one direction. This way I'm going right into the grain of that string. And what I'm going to do is put this piece aside to dry when I'm done, and come back and show you the other way that you can decoupage this in case you're more comfortable with doing it the other way. And just a quick mention, you want to make sure you've got a heavy coat of decoupage glue down in this first coating. Otherwise, when you add the second coat, you're going to get wrinkles and air bubbles, and people write me sometimes and ask why this happened. The napkin has to be completely secured down. And you see those little bit of wrinkles right there? That's normal. Don't get too excited about that. Try to brush them out right now. You'll barely see them when this dries. And we're going to put this aside to dry now. And once it's dry, I'll show you the other way on this other side. Now the other side of the napkin is dry, and I'll show you how that looks. You see there are a tiny bit of wrinkles in there, but for the most part, you really don't see that. I know I'm moving this kind of quickly, but I want you to take some Saran wrap or plastic wrap for this next step. I think in the UK it's called something other than Saran wrap. Sorry about that if I don't have it right. But you want to tear a sheet of this off first. Make sure you know where you want to place your napkin, so just place it down dry first. Make sure this is the way you want it. And now we're going to take the napkin decoupage glue, and we're going to apply it to the surface, just the area where we're going to put our napkin. And again, you want to make sure you have a heavy enough coat of the decoupage glue so that you don't have any spots or spaces under here that isn't covered by that decoupage glue. So I'm being very thorough here. And I also don't want any globs, so I'm making sure that I'm going over and over this area with the decoupage glue. And I'm going to very carefully and gently place my napkin over the area where I just applied the decoupage glue. And I'm going to gently pull it. You can still pick it up and move it around or position it a little bit in case it's crooked. And when you're happy with your placement, you can just press it down a little bit. Take this sheet of Saran wrap or plastic wrap and pull it tight. Pull it tight and down over the napkin and pull it down around the sides. Now you can take your fingertips and go in and smooth out any wrinkles. The plastic will not stick to the paper. You can pull this right away. And you can reposition the plastic wrap. You can only reposition it maybe once or twice. You don't want the plastic wrap to get sticky with decoupage glue and then pull the work away that you just did. So I would get a new sheet of the Saran wrap if you're working on a very large area. Or you can bunch this piece up and just go over certain areas. Now you can see this removes virtually all of the wrinkles, and I'm just tamping down the napkin in certain areas because you've got to make sure this is completely flat against your surface everywhere so that when you apply the second coat of decoupage glue, you don't get the bubbles or the small little wrinkles. Now we're going to put this aside to dry. We're going to use our brush again. So what I do is I put a piece of Saran wrap over my brush, the plate, and the decoupage glue so that nothing dries out. And when you're all done covering this planter, it can go in the oven again. Mainly, you don't want to put the oven over 170 once you've got the paper on because it can burn and discolor your paper. I'm taking a nail file and I'm working in one direction. I am filing in one direction, and that is towards the inside of the planter rather than going back and forth. You don't want to disturb these edges. So just go all along the top rim and the bottom rim and remove any of these excess pieces. A nail file works great for this, but any type of sanding paper or sanding block that you have works just as well. And once you're all done and everything is dried, we're going to go back to our napkin decoupage glue and we're going to cover the whole surface of our planter, put it aside to dry, and then we're going to add the top coat and the glitter. And this triple thick brush on glaze works as a glue just as well as a very glossy top coat. So I'm going to cover the whole surface with the triple thick, and while it is wet, I'm going to add the Martha Stewart glitter over the top of it. Now, I love this particular coarse glitter by Martha Stewart because it has just got the fieriest touch to it, and for the holidays I like a lot of sparkle and glitter. So I'm going to add this top coat everywhere. You have to use a bristle brush to apply the triple thick. You can't use a sponge brush for this. And what I'm doing is pouring the glitter. I'm trying to pour it around the pattern so that it goes over the white, just because I want the pattern to stand out a little more and I want to draw that white out with the sparkle. So I'm going to cover this whole thing with the triple thick and with the glitter and put it aside to dry. And before I add anything inside of here, I just want to show you how fiery this glitter is and how glossy the triple thick is. It still looks wet. Look at this beautiful shine that the glitter gives along with that high gloss top coat, and over this particular napkin it just looks very festive to me, and I'm going to show you how this looks with some Christmas lights around it. And now I will add the greenery or the flowers inside. By the way, you can take some dishwashing liquid, very hot water, and baking soda and clean this brush off. The triple thick can be very, very sticky. Now, honestly, what I did was I went into Joann Fabric and they were having a half-off sale on their garlands, their picks, their Christmas picks, and I got these very large poinsettias to match my pot. And what I did was I just folded them at the base and shoved them in because the pick is about 1.5 feet long, and I certainly don't need it that long. And I just put it inside, and I got a couple of other picks. And the great thing about this is you can go in there and find something in shabby chic. You can go with the gold colors, the burgundies, the reds, the greens, whatever you'd like, and it can match your planter exactly to the way you would like it to look. Don't mind my craft clothes here. These are the clothes that I paint in, and you can see it all over my sleeves and everything. So I just puffed up the bottom a little bit. I added a couple of other picks in here. The same thing. I just bent that very sturdy wire at the bottom and shoved it in, because this way you don't have to add anything into the base here. The tension kind of keeps this all together. So I added a few of these pine cones that are snow covered. I liked everything with a little bit of a snow cover on it. And then a little white shrub in here. And I'm going to add these battery operated LED fairy lights inside of here. And I will have a selection of the battery operated and the electric ones on my website so that you have a choice. In this particular case, I just want to be able to drop this battery case on the inside, and these wires help you put these lights wherever you want them. And now I'll show you how this looks with the lights in it around Christmas lights over the fireplace. And while you're having a look at this, I'd like to remind you that subscriptions mean everything to us when we make YouTube videos. So if you click on that scissor icon on the bottom of the screen, that will allow you to subscribe. It is really important for us to keep building our subscriber list because that allows us to keep making these videos. So it's been getting a little challenging lately. I hope you guys can help me and keep me going by making these videos. I put new videos out every single week on decoupage and how to, and I've also got an exciting announcement coming up in January. I'm really excited about this. And I have a Facebook page called Upcycle with Decoupage. If you go over and like and follow the page, you'll be notified every week when I put a new video out. I love hearing from you guys. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you for all your beautiful comments. Even though it is taking me a little bit longer to get back to you when you have questions, I do provide the name of another Facebook page where there are several moderators who are experienced with decoupage to help you, and several new people, so that you don't feel uncomfortable asking any questions you may have. And that particular Facebook page is very good if you do have questions that you need answered right away. So if you go over to my Facebook page, I'll let you know what that page is. And my link to my website is just below this video in the description. You can head on over there, and I have links for all of the supplies. And as always, my friends, I will see you next week with another video. I hope you are enjoying this beautiful holiday season. Deezy, I know you're loving all of that glitter. I will see you guys next week with another video. Thanks again, friends. Bye-bye.